Welcome to the Clayton Artists exhibit here at the Clayton Center. This month we have two artists on exhibit, and our first one is Lisa Chace. Lisa, we thank you for being here to exhibit with us this month. Will you tell us a little bit about where you're from?
I'm from Southern California. I'm from the South Bay area. It's an area, it's like a suburb of Los Angeles near the ocean. And I grew up in Torrance, California. And in 1994, I, my husband, and our two kids moved here to North Carolina. And we've been here for 20 years. And
you're in the Cleveland area? Cleveland
yes,
Springs?
we are. We're in the Cleveland area, and we've been there for about almost 13 years. So.
Okay. Now, Lisa, how did you become an artist?
Well, actually, I've always been interested in art. I think I started drawing at 5 years old. I started drawing animals, and then I graduated to people at about 12. 11, 12 years old, I started to graduate to drawing people. And when I was about 12, my father brought home a book of master woodcuts by a great artist, Albert Dürer. He was German. And I just loved the work. I was inspired by his work, and that just really propelled me to study the masters to a great degree, even at a young age. And so even through high school, I continued to study the masters. And so I began painting and drawing people, and to a great degree. And so it was really, really fun. So.
Now, I think I heard that you won a special award at a young age, and your talent was pretty evident.
Thank you. Well, actually, I went on to study art history and life drawing and painting at El Camino College, and I took basically art classes, so I didn't actually get my degree, but I took what I wanted, and I left the rest. And basically, I think around the late 70s, like 78, 79, a friend of mine actually convinced me to enter a couple of my works into the South Bay Art Association's exhibit. It's their big exhibit every year, and I entered 2 life drawings and a couple of portraits, and I won, actually to my surprise, I won first place for one of my portraits, and it's a very special piece to me. So,
now, Lisa has quite a broad array of work, and if you can come here and see it, you might think that, oh, well, she used to do portraits, but now she does abstracts. But Lisa does everything very well, but it's kind of unusual. Most artists start at one thing and progress and leave the other behind, but
exactly. My personality is such where I like to do realism, and then I like to balance that out and do abstract, and then I like to balance that out and do nature paintings. It's just in my personality. I get bored with one thing, so it's nice to be able to do many things.
And I understand you've had quite a success with the portrait work you've
done.
Well,
I've had some, I've actually got married in the early 80s and had children, so I had to, basically do my art on a part-time basis. But yes, I do have, I have done commission work, and I have works hanging in California, Texas, and here in North Carolina. But yes, it's nice to finally, after the kids are grown, it's nice to have that time to do what I love to do on a full-time basis. It's actually a first for me, and I really enjoy it.
Do you have any particular pieces you'd like to tell us a little bit more about?
Well, I have a very special piece. It's called Forgiveness, and it's an abstract. When I was younger, I thought, the superior art was realism. And I studied the masters to a high degree, and I thought that was really the apex of great art. But as I became older, and I just thought as my studies began to encompass other artists, that abstract really is a beautiful, beautiful genre also. And it's a wonderful way to express yourself. And so Forgiveness is a wonderful painting in that God really did something in my heart while I was painting it. Forgiveness came about one morning when I went into my studio, and mind you, I view my canvases as if they're a mirror of myself. I spill myself out on the canvas, whatever I'm feeling, and that's what comes out on the canvas. And one morning I went into my studio and I thought, I was having problems forgiving someone, and I thought, God, I really don't feel like painting this morning. I'm really frustrated. I'm having problems forgiving this person. And I just prayed. I said, God, I can't forgive this person. You help me forgive. And so what I started to do was I started to paint in earth tones. And at first it was kind of a burst of spontaneity, but I felt kind of frustrated, But as the painting progressed, I started to use other colors like reds and oranges and yellows, and I incorporated blues in there. And I stood back and I realized that the painting was actually describing how I felt. And it was actually a mirror of what I was experiencing at that moment. And at the moment where I surrendered to God and asked Him to help me forgive, that was the moment that I captured on canvas. So if you look at the work, there's like a lot of lines in the center that are kind of like, the Bible talks about be at peace with all men, and in Hebrews 12 it talks about don't let a root of bitterness spring up within you. And if you notice in the painting, it has like lines in it, like a root of bitterness there. And I'm depicting it as though it were unraveling and kind of going off into and kind of like dissipating off into wherever. And the blue in the painting signifies the Holy Spirit, and I didn't know anything of what I was painting at the time. It was just a spontaneous, creation. And as you look at it, you can really see that this is really a special work. It depicted the precise moment when I surrendered that to the Lord. Whatever I was harboring, God took it and allowed me to create something really special. That's why I love abstract.
Yeah.
I mean, abstract really does it. It really helps you to express yourself fully, and that's what I love to do. But I also do portraiture, and I work on a commission basis, and whatever people, are interested in, I try to accommodate that. So.
And you do some teaching as well?
Yes, I do. I've done teaching. I've done teaching on a private basis. I've done in my studio, and also I've done teaching at homeschool co-ops. So I've taught really youngins, and some of the things that I've learned, and it's been a real wonderful experience.
Now, can we find you on social media
Yes. Actually, you can find me at my email account. My name is spelled Lisa Chace, Lisa, and then Chace, and my email is lchace123@gmail.com. And then you can also find me Lisa Chace Original Art on Facebook. And also, when I get my website up and running, you'll be able to use the Facebook to go into my future website. So that's going to be real neat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any works here for sale?
I do. I have about 5 works, I think, for sale.
That's great.
So.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you.
I hope everyone gets a chance to see your work here.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to thank the Clayton Visual Arts for allowing me to show my work. It's
You're very
really been
welcome.
wonderful. Thank you.
I'm here with our other artist this month. This is Charlotte McNutt. All her friends and family call her Char. We're glad to have you here, Charlotte.
Thank you, Amy.
Will you tell us where you grew up?
Yes, in western Pennsylvania, almost on the Ohio line. I'm from a town called Sharon, and my husband lived in Grove City, Pennsylvania. And we lived on the Grove City Slippery Rock Road and you may have heard of the Slippery Rock Road because that was very famous with sportscasters because of the funny name. They always said they were playing Slippery Rock, and it was always it was nationwide. So.
Okay. Now, how did you come to be here in North Carolina?
Well, my husband was a partner in a manufacturing firm, and they moved from Western Pennsylvania to Kinston, North Carolina. And we lived there for 38 years, and we moved to Garner to be near our children and grandchildren.
Okay. Now, Char, have you always been an artist, or is this something recent you've started?
I've always liked crafts of any sort, and I think I said in my biography I always wanted a paint set as a small child, and I finally got a nice one when I was 12 years old. So I just have always liked painting, but I really only started painting, let's see, almost 20 years ago now. I took classes in Raleigh at just painting fruits and flowers on wood items, and I just learned a lot about loading brushes and brush strokes and so forth, and shading and things like that. And then I just wanted to do landscapes on my own starting about 15 years ago. So.
Okay. And I understand you've been able to sell some of your work, even though this is your first show.
Yes,
We're delighted to have you.
Yes, just painted for friends. A lot of friends have bought items, and first painting I ever sold was a seascape actually, and I sold it for $75 to a friend who lived at the beach, and she wanted it for her beach home, and that was the first one I ever sold.
That's exciting, I know. And for those of you familiar with the Food and Art Fair that happens in Smithfield, I understand you won a prize there, or you sold a piece there?
I sold a painting.
Sold a painting there. Right.
And it was an old barn, and it just happened that this couple, she loved old barns, and the husband said her home was filled with old barns, but she just had a fondness for old barns, so it sold pretty quickly.
What's your favorite thing to paint?
My favorite painting here is the covered bridge, and that is because we lived only 15 miles from a covered bridge in our home in Western Pennsylvania. And the painting is a composite of a photograph that we took of that one and a picture that I've seen of another one, and it's kind of a composite of the two.
Okay.
So.
And I understand you're passing your talent along?
Yes, I'm teaching our 8-year-old granddaughter, and she actually draws. She's been drawing since she was about 4 years old, and she draws very, very well. And our son, who is here this evening, called one time, and he said, I was thinking of taking Colby to he saw an ad in the paper of a lady who taught in her home, and he said, I'm a little leery to take her and leave her at someone's home. And he said, would you teach Colby? And I said, well, I'm not a teacher, but I can show her some tricks. So anyway, she comes every Saturday, and we've done about 6 paintings so far. She's doing very well. Her interest level is about an hour, and then that's about it.
Well, that's pretty good.
She's doing very well. So.
Okay. Charlotte, do you have any works for sale at our show here?
Yes, all my items are for sale here,
That's
except
good to know.
one. One is not for sale, and it's a piece from our home.
Okay.
So.
Great. Well, we thank you so much for being here at the
thank
Clayton
you,
Center,
Amy.
and it's great having your work here, and we hope you'll all come out and see it.
Okay, thank you,
you.
Amy.
Next month, I hope you'll join us at the Clayton Center. We'll have another exhibit by Clayton Visual Arts, and in March we'll feature the Colored Pencil Society. We had them here a couple years ago, and it was absolutely amazing. You just have to see it to believe it. You will not believe these works are colored pencil. It will open your eyes as to what colored pencil can really do. Also, we will have an exhibit by our Clayton Visual Arts members, and it will be a tribute to springtime. Get everyone ready for spring. So I hope to see you there.